So in today's class, we are going to talk about labels in Kubernetes, right? We have to understand this very well in the aspect of managing pods. And labels play important roles in connecting related resources, right? This is one of the integral definitions of labels. So one, if we want to see how labels work, first we need to know that it's used to organize and group resources, right? So for instance, now in case of pod affinity, let's say pod affinity, which we are going to look at, but you need to know some of it. You can specify same labels for pods, and with these labels, the pod affinity mechanism is going to make all these pods to be close or far away from one another. So can use it to belong to group those pods in the same node, right? That's one of it. Then the most popular use of label is in the case of service, right? Which actually is used to label matching pods, right? So for instance, if you say a label in your specification or deployment, and you label your pod, you can say app equals my app, and whenever you write your service, you specify where it's going to, you specify a selector, and wherever this selector matches this one, so you have selector app my app, when this selector matches this label and this selector matches, the service is always going to automatically attach itself to that particular pod, right? And then you can use label in another area, and it's in environment tagging, right? You can say in the case, you can say environment is prod. And with this kind of label, you can actually query the Kubernetes cluster that any place they find this label, any pod that has this environmental prod, you can actually look for them. So, for instance, all pods that have this label, which the environment is prod, is going to bring them out for you, and you are able to see that. So, you can group them together. Then another use of label is in NodeSelector. So, for instance, you can label nodes, and anytime you find, like anytime there's a match selector that matches this node, say for instance, you label the node with kubectl, label node name, right? And we're going to do it. And with that, you write it specifically in your manifest file. Anywhere a pod or deployment sees this node, that's where it will go to, right? You can use it to make sure that a particular pod is scheduled on a particular node, right? So this is node. If you label this node and the pod matches the label of this node, is going to come here automatically, and that's it. You can use it in other places like Node, Affinity, and the rest, and we are going to look at them one after the other.